To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Like our perspective.
Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore, because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. Well, hello, and welcome to Headlines with a Voice, and the Lockhart Perspective will be joining us here shortly. You know, I had to make this video with that question, and that is, what is her platform? To be honest with you, what is her platform? Is her past her platform? And here's what I've learned. If you don't tell people really what you stand for, then they're just going to guess. And tonight, that's what we're doing. We're guessing. But you can best believe that I'm not just guessing and pulling stuff out of the air. I come with receipts, big baby. I come with receipts. So we're going to take a look at a few things today. There was a live that was done on Philip Scott's channel last evening. And I want to let you know that his channel is exceptional. I reached out to him today to gain permission to take a snippet of his show because it was exactly what I have been looking for. And I think that you guys are going to agree with me once you see it. This is by far the best information that will tie everything that we have together tonight, all inclusive. It'll just tie it all together, tie it in a nice big fat bow for us. The name of the channel is the African Diaspora and African Diaspora Channel. And when I tell you this was the best nugget that could have dropped into my lap since, I don't know, because I have been trying to figure out how to bring some of this information that I have to you, to put it right down there, like Black Springs Daddy said, put it right down there where the cows can get it. So let me show you his channel. And I hope that you guys please go over there and look at it, because you will find that it is an exceptional channel. Let me pull it up for you guys. And then I'm also going to leave the link down below in the description. Listen, there's a lot of us right now that are getting on our own people and that are saying, hey, listen, you know what? There's nothing wrong with being who you are, but don't get bamboozled anymore. Don't get beat upside the head with things that are fictitious and that are not true. And it's sometimes hard to do that for folks, because then they think that you're being just this big meanie, and then they've got a few other names they like to call people. But here's what I say. I say that if it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, then let me squeak, because you all need to wake up. And I believe that as long as I'm bringing it to you, then I'm doing my job. And we're going to look at some stuff tonight that you might know. We're going to look at some stuff tonight that you might not know. But the one thing for sure, you definitely know if you've seen any of these things before. So let's get over to his channel. It is the African Diaspora Channel, and it is on YouTube. And he has a huge platform. He's been on YouTube for some time. Okay. There it is. Now, here it is. I want you guys to go over to his channel. I want you to make sure that you guys click, subscribe, watch the brother's work. Here, let me give it to you guys right now so you can get it. Here it is. But wait till you see the jewels that landed in our lap. This is it right here. The African Diaspora News Channel. The reason why I like it is because he is the type of cat that takes the good news and the bad news and he presents it to you. He says you can stand on any side. You can sit on the couch if you don't want to go vote this November. Or what you can also do is you can vote for whomever you vote for, but make sure that you at least know the policies. And I have to agree with that. So I'm going to put this down below in our chat. And I'm also going to attach it to the notes in this program. But it's the African Diaspora News Channel. Wait until you see that we're going to start with his work right now. That's where we're starting tonight. All right. So let me clear this off the screen. And I'm going to start with some of the work that I clipped up of his. Oh boy. All right. So here's where we're headed. Tonight, we are talking specifically about some of the things that she has done in the past. And by she, I do mean Kamala Harris. The reason why we're doing this is because we don't know what she stands for. If we go to her platform right now and we look at her website, she ain't standing for nothing. There's nothing there. It just tells you about, him and her. It looks just like, look at that. It just looks like two big announcements of somebody. Look, get a gander, shall you? Look at this. It just looks like two big invitations. It's saying meet the governor and meet Kamala, but it doesn't tell you what they're standing for. It's asking for money up at the top. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go to the front. Okay, here's the front. The first thing you see when you get to her website is money. Harris Waltz, donate for your chance to meet Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. So you're going to donate to get the chance to meet them. But after you meet them, what happens then? What do they stand for? What are they talking about? They're doing a lot of yik-yak and talking about the other cat. All right. But I want to show you his website in all fairness. So let's see. Meet Kamala. That's what that part tells. And it tells you about who she is. But it doesn't give me any bullet points of what they plan to do, except for this thing here with the reproductive health. Now, I don't know whether you guys noticed it or not, but a couple of weeks ago, I showed you guys a thumbnail that everybody let go over their head, and it was her doing this, and it was the bull of heaven. It was what they call Molech, and somebody else referenced the name. Instead of Moloch, they referenced the name of, I forgot the other one. But it's that big bull that they had all over the United States. You guys help each other out and help me out because I forgot the name of the other thing. Baphomet, I believe it's Baphomet. But nonetheless, all it does is he's always like that. Okay, he's always like that. And you see right in the background there where she's standing, it says reproductive. That's the only thing that I've seen that she's passionate over. And there are a few other things that let us know exactly what's going on up here with what we're about to look at tonight. So when I looked at that, I didn't see anything. I saw no platform at all. However, when I went over to her opponent's website, I did see something. And let's take a look at that because it's fair. I can't just talk about her and not juxtapose what's up. Immediately when you open up this man's website, you come to the platform, the news, the events, and get involved. He doesn't start out with give me your money, although I'm sure he does want your money because everybody wants money because it makes the world go around, the world go around. Okay, let me stop. That clicking, clacking sound. Okay, let me stop. Anyway, there you go. Hit the platform. And as soon as you hit the platform, actually, as soon as you get to his page, it tells you about Agenda 47. It doesn't say anything about that other thing. And we're not saying that he doesn't know what it's about, even though he tries to play coy and say, I don't know anything about that 2025. And when you get down to it, to be candid with you, 2025 may have some issues, but it's not all 110% bad. Just like all of his stuff's not 110% good. But clearly he's telling you that he has an agenda for the 47th president of the United States. Agenda 47. It goes on to say, read the official 2024 Republican Party platform here. You want to know what we stand for? Well, here you go. And he's got 20 points, and then he's got read more about the Trump Republican platform. All right. But I don't see that over there. And so that's the reason why I'm asking the question. What's it all about, Alfie? What does she stand for? And if you don't stand for nothing, then you gonna be falling for a lot of stuff. So what we're looking at tonight specifically is a couple of hard-hitting topics. The first one that we're about to watch, we're going to have some corresponding information to go along with it. It is talking about her truancy program, as well as the program that she dealt with in California. And I want you guys to really look at it. I want you to really look at it, and I want you to listen to this woman from this channel that's going to lay it down and tell you, while she was working in California as a probation officer, what she saw was being laid up for the children and the parents of the children. Right after this, please make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, and share this out if you can.
So if we fast forward to the time of, at the time, Vice President Kamala Harris, where she was the Attorney General of California, but then she was the district attorney in San Francisco. So tell us about your career as a, probation officer. How long were you there, and what did you actually do?
Well, okay, so I was in juvenile, and I spent about 15 years, maybe I'll go close to 15 years in juvenile. And of those 15 years, I spent 7 years with the school. At the time that Kamala Harris was Attorney General, that's when they started statewide having probation officers in the school and a school resource officer that is usually from the sheriff's department. And at that time, what was brought to our attention was the strategic gang plan. So they put probation officers in the school under her tenure. And that there were some issues with that.
So what was the reasoning of her putting probation officers in the school? Like, why?
Well, it's supposed to make the school safer, but really there were other issues, just in my own understanding. And I've talked to some other POs, and they have the same experience. It was supposed to curb school violence, but also supposed to curb truancy under the guise of helping these marginalized families. So they didn't put them in the really nice schools. A lot of the POs that I know and myself went to the schools that were in the communities that had a high level of highly melanated people, foundational Black Americans. And so those are the schools that the probation officers were placed in.
Okay, and so when you place in these schools, what is it you were supposed? They're talking about keep it safe, but what were you doing to keep it safe, according to what Kamala wanted y'all to do?
Well, okay, so here's another thing is that one of the things, if somebody had a fight or something went on, they wanted us to cite the kid in the court. So, when I was coming up, if you had a problem with a kid, if they hit you, you hit them back. Okay, well, we'll deal with that. Or the parents had a meeting, but it was about, hey, write these citations into the juvenile traffic court. And what that did was that created a paper trail. So when that child got in trouble later on, they could go back to the juvenile traffic court and say, well, hey, this kid had problems back in elementary or junior high. And so the other thing about that was they had us writing these truancy citations under an ed code, which is 48260, if I can remember it right, 48260, where they had us writing like $500 citations to the parents of a child if they missed a certain amount of school. Now, And you go to school 9 months out of the year. So if you miss 10 days of school, you're a habitual truant. But they changed that to where if you had 3 absences that were not, and your parents forgot to call it in, then they could say that you're a truant. And then they want to send you to a hearing. And that hearing is that's created a lot of damage. The hearing is called a SARB hearing, a SARB A and a SARB B. So here it is. These parents are working hard every day. They're sending the kids to school. Maybe the kid ditched class, or maybe I saw where some children had medical issues, and the parents are waiting for the school to create some type of independent study so the child wouldn't get behind. Well, they'll send a letter. They were sending letters to the parents saying your child missed school. We think that they missed too much school, so now you have to go to this hearing. You don't even understand as a parent what is this about. You go to the hearing, and there's a district attorney, child and family services, a probation officer, and a school principal or a school representative, and sometimes somebody else. And you're coming in a room, and it's like court. There's 5 people sitting at a table looking at you, wanting to know why your child's not in school. And sometimes they'll send a letter to the home, and if the parent doesn't get the letter, they don't know that there's a hearing. So when maybe the parent can't get off work. A lot of these parents they had to work 2 jobs just to make it. And the parent gets off work, sees, oh, I missed the hearing. Well, guess what? You didn't show up. So they send an officer to your house, write you a citation for $500. You got to go. The kid doesn't go to court. The parent's going to court. Mm-hmm. So the parent goes to court. And if you have 3 children, and I saw this a lot. If you had 3 children, and maybe one of them was sick and the other 2 caught it, and you're working and you're trying to take care of the kids, and you just didn't have time to call in, that's $500 per child. In one instance,
that's per child?
Per child. If you have 3 kids and all 3 of those kids missed those days, that's $1,500. That's what was going on back then. And from my understanding, it's still going on. But back then, I can tell you honestly, because I was a part of this, not understanding what it was in the beginning. But $500 per child. And if you get cited, let's say 3 times they cite you, you're looking at a county lid, which is 1 year misdemeanor in the county jail for the parent.
So what would happen if you put a parent in jail? What happens to the child?
Somebody in the family got to take the kids. If not, CFS going to take the kids.
Now, a person in the chat was saying that's straight up a school to prison pipeline.
It is. And the strategic game plan is by the 3rd grade, they know how many prisons or juvenile halls to build. So they keep a track record. This is how they funnel the kids into the school to prison pipeline. And if it wasn't for, there's a lot of, the difference between police and probation officers is the police arrest you, he gets a win. If the probation officer arrests you, it's a loss. And so there are a lot of us, that look like us from, highly melanated, who got in the way of that and said, hey, this ain't right. So then there's the kickback where the departments are like, you're going to do this. And we're like, no, we're not, because these are our own kids. These are kids in our community. And I've personally seen mothers when I come to, before I really knew what was going on, because look, I don't work for the school district. I'm contracted to the school district. Mm-hmm. And they break down and say, I already got a couple of these. I can't pay this. I can't keep food on the table. And you got kids going to different schools. So what happens when all your kids, let's say I had one, well, this is actually true. I had some kids, they missed 2 weeks because of lice. The parent got cited in there, had to go to court several times. Thank God the judge knew it wasn't right. The judge knew, he didn't throw it out, but he let her make payments. But you're talking about $3,500.
My Lord. And these are regular working class people.
Working class people. A lot of these people are single parents. Mm-hmm. Some of them don't have cars. I mean, it depends on where you are. There are people that live in more rural or desert areas. There's not much transportation. And if the kids miss the school bus, they have no way to get the kids to school.
Okay, so now you heard that part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to Kamala's explanation of why she felt it was necessary for her to do it this way. Okay, let's see what Kamala has to say. And I'm going to let you guys listen. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to be going piece by piece because I made these into frames. And each one has its own independent time. All right. So with this one, I'm going to have to step in, though, because and we'll have to probably start it over and fast forward. But nonetheless, I want you to listen to her reasoning behind doing this, and then we're going to listen to another portion. This is what we're doing before we get into these articles that are very serious, because we found these. Both my assistant and myself found some of these. And yeah, we had to really work to get them. Let me just put that out there like that. But here you go. Listen to this. And again, let me tell you something else. What I could not find was that there was another gentleman in 2008 who actually laid these things out as far as the platform to start this, right? I don't believe this person has an independent thought whatsoever in their head. I don't. I believe that this individual is somebody who's pumped information and then just runs along with it and emboldens themselves. The only thing that I think that she has original in her head, for whatever the reason, is the reproductive stuff. That's my opinion, and that's how I feel. So let's get into her reasoning. And thank you all for being with us tonight.
Another focus of the book, in large part, is on the issue of children. Well, that's not a tough topic. Tough people don't talk about children. Children aren't the big issues. Children are the cute, cuddly people that moms and parents and other nice people concern themselves with. Let's instead address big issues. I think that's a myth.
Other nice people.
And so, in fact, in the way that I wrote the book, the first half of the book, I talk about what I think are myths about the criminal justice system that have impeded our ability to have smarter criminal justice policy. And in the second half of the book, I talk about what I believe are best practices as have been proven around the country. It's a myth to think that to address and priorities and prioritize issues impacting children is to deal with a small issue instead of dealing with some other big issue, like, let's say, homicides. It's a myth to assume and think that children are resilient. It is a myth to think that to deal with big issues is to actually take on a battle and achieve great success, instead of recognizing to take on issues that impact children is to do so much more effectively and efficiently for less money and greater reward. So in that vein, I talk about what I believe is one of the biggest issues that we could actually confront in a way that we will be successful. And that is the big issue of elementary school truancy. So what am I talking about?
Watch your face.
In San Francisco a few years ago, we had a rash of homicides, the highest we had experienced in decades. So every one of us in city leadership was concerned, and I asked a staff member, go out and do an assessment and tell me who were our homicide victims who were under the age of 25 when they were killed. And the data came back, and it included the fact that 94% of those homicide victims were high school dropouts. So then I went over to the school district and I asked the superintendent at the time, what's going on? And she said, Kamala, well, of the few number of children we have in the San Francisco Unified School District, 5,500 have been designated as habitually and chronically truant. And of the 5,500, 2,400 are elementary school students. So I asked the superintendent to convene a meeting for me with all of the principals and administrators of the school district, and I shared with them a fact about myself, which I talk about in the book. I'm a product of California Public Schools. My first grade
she's
teacher,
not. I'm going to
Mrs.
pause it
Wilson.
here. And I'm
God
gonna come
rest her
back.
soul.
Let me pause it right here. No, she's not. She is not. She is not a product of Los Angeles city schools. She's not. She went to school in Canada, which everybody here in the chat by now already knows. And why is it important? Well, it's important because it goes to a long list and line of fibs, if you want to use that as a nice soft term. If you can't trust what she says, then how? And she doesn't have a platform. The only thing we have to do is to use these old sound bites and clips from her telling us who she is. Now, when I hit this again, it's going to make us go back over the crap again, because it's sort of like that. It's a little antiquated. I don't have the ability to toggle this because it's not off of the video itself. It's a reproduction of that. But I have to stop here because it is very important to note that. All right. Very important. Now, in tandem with her being over this truancy program, there were a lot of families that fell by the wayside in this program. Again, it was not hers originally. She picked it up and then she dilly-dallied with it and created it, put it out there, and was very proud of it for a little while. There was a parent, and I'm going to use this story because we can go back to this, but there was a mother, and this mother's child had sickle cell anemia. We've talked about this once before. So when this woman, her daughter, missed so many days of school, she was caught up in this program here. So what I'm going to do right now is go back to part 3, this is going to be part 3. of the other young lady that's telling us exactly what happened while she was working as a probation officer under this regime, as it were. And then we're going to finish up her truancy spiel about why she felt that it was the right thing to do.
So instead of saying, okay, let's come up with another way to help this community, it's no, cite them in the court. Next, mom or dad is standing tall in front of a judge, and it's a year in jail. Now back then, it wasn't, the jails weren't as crowded, so you might do that year. You would do at least 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So let me ask you a question. What's the worst case you've seen while you were there underneath Kamala Harris's tenure as Attorney General? What happened?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm here. Go ahead.
This family, they had several kids, single father. The mother did show up, but he was ill. He was fighting an illness in and out the hospital. The older children were trying to help, cook and take care of the younger children, get them to school and stuff. And they hauled him in there, and they didn't want to hear nothing he had to say. The sites were everything, because if the kids aren't sitting in the chairs, they lose money, and that's all it was about, was the money. They didn't offer that man any help. They gave that man such a high bill. They had cited him so much, and he came and he was sick, and you could see he was sick. And he said, I'm trying, I just need some help. And there was no mercy. There was no mercy. So you're talking about almost $10,000.
Oh my Lord, $10,000, and the man was sick.
He was sick. He was frail. You could see he was sick. He had been in and out the hospital, and he was pretty much a single parent. He had to rely on the older kids to help. And it was a rural area, so it was not like they could get on the bus. He got like 6 kids. And so, what they do is once they send you that letter that she was so proud of, and you did show up to a hearing, they could put you on a contract. And if you violated that contract one time, you got cited. So either way it goes, if you're going to get cited. So if the kid missed one day of school, it is impossible for a kid to have perfect attendance all year if there's an issue in the home that just needs a little help.
Right.
And so, they get cited for making that one mistake. And then the other part of it is some of the parents just said, this is too much. I'm leaving. I'm moving. Well, guess what? That followed them. So they get to a new school looking for a new start, and here it is in their queue. It followed them.
So they basically would have to leave the state of California to get away from that at that time.
They would pretty much, because if you went to another district, that queue would follow you. They would know what that was. And let's say you got to the new school and maybe you didn't have your school closed yet, or for whatever reason. I'm not making excuses for anybody, but you get to the new school and you're getting cited at the new school. You just got there, and you're getting cited there for the same thing.
And Kamala's the one that ushered this in.
Yeah, I had never heard of her until this. And I said, when did this start? It had just started. It was about 2007, 2008. It
was actually 2008.
She hadn't been in that long, and then bam. And I was looking back at what she said when she said, well, I decided I'm going to prosecute the parents. That's a quote. She said, I decided. Well, when she did that, she put a lot of harm onto the very people that she says, which, the downtrodden or the marginalized or, the ones at risk. Well, she did harm to the ones she claims now that she wants to help. Now, when you have a misdemeanor on your record, is that going to help you get employment?
Right.
Not at all.
But this is the person that Black people are being shamed about. And you got to see her in action, how she treats the community. And now that you see all these Black people talking about Black men for Harris, Black women for Harris, raising all this money, and you got to kind of see her get down. I mean, what is your opinion of that?
Honestly, I cannot. I had somebody close to me really, really say, please vote for her. I said, I cannot, as a Black woman, vote for her. I cannot, and I will not. I will not, because we have nothing to gain. It's the same old thing. The civil rights era was a civil rights era. Those people are much, much older, and the world has changed, and we have not gotten anything. Everybody's above us. Where's her policy? That platinum plan? What, that was better for us. She has no plan. The Democrats told Ice Cube, we'll talk to you after the election. Trump said, no, come talk to me now. Now, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. But I know what I experienced, what I saw, and I can't tell you how many times I had to put my head down because I had to physically, personally experience, the emotions coming from the parents, that had to get these sites and had to go to court and stand in front of a judge and had to sit in the hearing with CF Child and Family Services is in the hearing. That, if nothing else scares you as a parent, that will scare you because you don't know if they're going to say, well, since you can't get the child to school, we're going to take the child. That's a frightening thing to sit in there and nobody looks like you, but everybody wants to know, and they're acting like they're there to help, but really they don't make money helping you. And that's the
They don't
honest
make money
truth.
on incarceration, right?
Right. That's where the money is. And you had all these private prisons popping up everywhere. This is California I'm talking about. So there was no money in helping you. There was money in filling up these private prisons. And these, even though juveniles don't go to private prison, the parents are gone. You take the parent away, what happens to the child? There was no money spent on any programs prior to any issues. It was, okay, now we're going to give you help. Yeah, after you already have their information. And another thing they were trying to do was if a child, the school has counselors, but oftentimes the child doesn't want to talk to the counselor. So if you are a person from the community, they may say, hey, I'm having a bad day. Can I talk to you? And they just want to talk to you. Well, they wanted that each child to come to talk to you, even if they just wanted to tell you they had a problem with their puppy, whatever it was. They wanted you to write the child's name down and the student ID number and put it in a database. All of us, you want to start your list. All of us as parents said, no, we will not. Because all we could see was our own children wanting to talk. And next, our child is on a list. No, we refused. And I don't know. I know there was some back and forth going on between that, but all of us refused to do that. Where I worked, and in that unit that I was in.
Okay, now I want to tell you something. You heard where she was talking about a list. I was writing a note to myself because now I don't know whether people here have grandchildren or even if you have children yourself, but you'll notice now when you go to register your child, there is a list, there's a paper, and you'll be able to choose which form of counseling or conversations you'll allow your child to have. If you do not check that whole appendix, it's like a long list. If you don't check anything, then your child will not receive any mental health help. If you click one, then you pretty much opening up the door for them to take everything in hand. So what are they doing? What's going on with the schools right now? What did she mention when she talked about the prison? It's the school to prison pipeline is what it is. All the schools now look like jails. What Kamala Harris was building at that time was a mental blueprint for all of the children that were going to school, as well as the parents, to go and visit their kids, to see the parents locked up, to get in trouble if you don't do what you're told. It's conditioning, because anything you get over and over and over again will condition you to accept it. The young lady who was being interviewed just then said you didn't see that in other communities. Mind you, she was in the probation department. Kamala Harris literally had probation officers. She actually had people from the DA's office go to these meetings. She had all this stuff set up, and now this thing is all across the United States. We're going to listen again to Kamala, then we're going to listen to the end, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to what she says and very close attention to what she doesn't say. And then I want you guys to listen to this story called A Secrecy Fetish. Tells you a lot about Kamala Harris.
Another focus of the book, in large part, is on the issue of children. Well, that's not a tough topic. Tough people don't talk about children. Children aren't the big issues. Children are the cute, cuddly people that moms and parents and other nice people concern themselves with. Let's instead address big issues. I think that's a myth. And so, in fact, in the way that I wrote the book, the first half of the book, I talk about what I think are myths about the criminal justice system that have impeded our ability to have smarter criminal justice policy. And in the second half of the book, I talk about what I believe are best practices as have been proven around the country. It's a myth to think that to address and priorities and address and prioritize issues impacting children is to deal with a small issue instead of dealing with some other big issue, like, let's say, homicides. It's a myth to assume and think that children are resilient. It is a myth to think that to deal with big issues is to actually take on a battle and achieve great success, instead of recognizing to take on issues that impact children is to do so much more effectively and efficiently for less money and greater reward. So in that vein, I talk about what I believe is one of the biggest issues that we could actually confront in a way that we will be successful. And that is the big issue of elementary school truancy. So what am I talking about? In San Francisco a few years ago, we had a rash of homicides, the highest we had experienced in decades. So every one of us in city leadership was concerned, and I asked a staff member, go out and do an assessment and tell me who were our homicide victims who were under the age of 25 when they were killed. And the data came back, and it included the fact that 94% of those homicide victims were high school dropouts. So then I went over to the school district and I asked the superintendent at the time, what's going on? And she said, Kamala, well, of the few number of children we have in the San Francisco Unified School District, 5,500 have been designated as habitually and chronically truant. And of the 5,500, 2,400 are elementary school students. So I asked the superintendent to convene a meeting for me with all of the principals and administrators of the school district, and I shared with them a fact about myself, which I talk about in the book. I'm a product of California Public Schools.
No, she's not. I can't even get past that. I had to use my new button because I just can't get past it. Here's where we're headed after that, because I can't listen to no more. Somebody else just got through saying that in the chat. I just can't listen. Let me tell you guys this. She actually was a part of a secret operation to prevent police officers who were involved in a really bad scandal. You know what I'm trying to say. She prevented them from actually being put away or put in jail. And I want you to listen to this one piece one more time, and we're going to play it through its entirety this time. I have to play it again. Why? Because repetition helps you remember who did what. Since she don't have no platform, I'm going to give her a platform. And if she don't like it, then maybe she needs to come out and tell us why this isn't her platform.
Another focus of the book, in large part, is on the issue of children. Well, that's not a tough topic. Tough people don't talk about children. Children aren't the big issues. Children are the cute, cuddly people that moms and parents and other nice people concern themselves with. Let's instead address big issues. I think that's a myth. And so, in fact, in the way that I wrote the book, the first half of the book, I talk about what I think are myths about the criminal justice system that have impeded our ability to have smarter criminal justice policy. And in the second half of the book, I talk about what I believe are best practices as have been proven around the country. It's a myth to think that to address and priorities and address and prioritize issues impacting children is to deal with a small issue instead of dealing with some other big issue, like, let's say, homicides. It's a myth to assume and think that children are resilient. It is a myth to think that to deal with big issues is to actually take on a battle and achieve great success, instead of recognizing to take on issues that impact children is to do so much more effectively and efficiently for less money and greater reward. So in that vein, I talk about what I believe is one of the biggest issues that we could actually confront in a way that we will be successful. And that is the big issue of elementary school truancy. So what am I talking about? In San Francisco a few years ago, we had a rash of homicides, the highest we had experienced in decades. So every one of us in city leadership was concerned, and I asked a staff member, go out and do an assessment and tell me who were our homicide victims who were under the age of 25 when they were killed. And the data came back, and it included the fact that 94% of those homicide victims were high school dropouts. So then I went over to the school district and I asked the superintendent at the time, what's going on? And she said, Kamala, well, of the few number of children we have in the San Francisco Unified School District, 5,500 have been designated as habitually and chronically truant. And of the 5,500, 2,400 are elementary school students. So I asked the superintendent to convene a meeting for me with all of the principals and administrators of the school district, and I shared with them a fact about myself, which I talk about in the book. I'm a product of California Public Schools. My first grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Wilson, God rest her soul, attended my law school graduation. I would not be standing here were it not for the education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my reelection race. But I said, look, I'm done.
She's
This
demented.
is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did. We recognized that in that initiative, as a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. The school district has got a carrot. Let's work in tandem around our collective objective and goal, which is to get those kids in school. So to that end, on my letterhead, now let me tell you something about my letterhead. When you're the DA of a major city in this country, usually the job comes with a badge. And there is often an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district, outlining the connection that was statistically proven between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, who will become a victim of crime, and who will become a perpetrator of crime. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect. And here's what we also did. We created what we call the DA mediation program, where we assigned prosecutors to go and sit with the administrators and principals when they met with all the parents. And frankly, you know the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there and I said, when you go over there, look really mean. And so they did. And invariably the parent said, well, who's the mean looking dude? And the principal would say, well, that's someone that mean DA Kamala Harris sent over here because she said she's going to start prosecuting you if we can't work this out. And through that initiative, we found cases like the case of the woman who was by herself, raising her 3 children, holding down 2 jobs, and homeless. She just needed some help. But by shining this infrared spotlight of public safety on the fact that her children aren't in school, we were able to figure that out, get her access to services that exist. And through that process, the attendance of her children improved. We dismissed the charges against her. And overall, we've improved attendance for this population in San Francisco by 20% over the last 2 years. So in the beginning, some would say, why are you dealing with that? We've got serious crime to deal with. Well, I would suggest to you that being smart on crime means realizing we cannot accept false choices. One is not to the exclusion of the other. We have cracked down on violent crime and seen success that has not been achieved in over a decade. And yes, we are also focusing on the issue of elementary school truancy.
I've been so immersed in all of this stuff that I'm going to show you something right now. I'm going to take a second because there's another portion of this where she rants about how she is also standing up for the people who are trafficked and rape victims and youth prostitutes. Let me see if we've got that here. And if not, we'll find it. We'll get it for you. We don't have it here. But I'm going to tell you that she is one of the people who was basically saying, you know, I stand up for these women and I stand up for these people and I don't want anything to happen. And there's a bill that was in California and the bill is SB 1322. Now, that particular bill is what she was referencing later on when they were all talking about, well, you know, if it's a child, they are not they cannot give consent. So we're just going to let them go. Now, listen, she was not a part of the actual legislative pieces that went together to create that, to my knowledge. But what she did say was that she would not allow anyone to brand young girls as a prostitute, that they were a victim. and that these victims need to be defended, and that she wants to help to protect them. But get a hold of this, the article that I mentioned to you called Secrecy, a Fetish, a Secrecy Fetish. Let's get into this article because she did something back then. And because we don't have her platform, we got to create one based on the information that's available to us. So this is called a secrecy fetish. Let me make sure that you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. Pay very close attention and tell all your friends, okay? This is an old article, all right? It is from, I have it right here in print as well. It is from June 2nd, 2010, okay? June 2nd, 2010. Please listen. We're getting into this. I hope you guys got your seatbelts on tonight and you don't mind hanging out with me for a little bit because I want to take my time and just give you her platform, all right? Was Kamala Harris merely sloppy when she failed to disclose a crime lab scandal and the criminal backgrounds of police who were trial witnesses? This is a question. Or does she have a policy of when in doubt, keep secrets? Keep in mind, this was June 2nd, 2010, when this article was published. And now let's keep that in our minds. All right. Same year that she was standing up just talking right there. And at the end of that you just saw, because it's a whole totally different piece of a video, she is telling us that she is, and I'll find the video because I don't want anybody saying, well, she lying because she didn't even have it. So let me just go ahead on and get ahead of you on that. I'm going to let you hear this, and then I'm going to find that video so that you can listen to the rest of her while she says she wants to defend those people. And there's no such thing as a, an adolescent prostitute or somebody who's giving permission to have this and that. Listen to this, and I'm going to tell you guys something. Oh, I don't want to overblow it because I'm really, really seething right now when it comes to that topic. Whew, okay. San Francisco's weeklies attempts to obtain her office's files on Catholic clergy abuse under the State Public Records Act suggest that Harris favors concealment over transparency. Now, remember, we just saw, she said the police. Now we're talking about clergy, Catholic clergy. The records at issue may contain answers to a question of great public concern that has consumed international headlines during recent weeks. What did senior Catholic officials know, and what did they do behind the scenes while priests accused of molesting children were shielded from punishment? Cardinal William Levada was Archbishop of San Francisco until 2005. He is now a top Vatican official and the Holy See's most prominent defender of Pope Benedict, the X with the V and the 6. Look like 16th. I doubt it, but it's whatever it is. It's 10 plus 5 plus 1, whatever. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I think 16 was the one that was the father of the guy they had that made the painting looks like Jesus. Yeah, I think that was him. But anyway, let's get on with this. Against allegations that the pontiff has failed to adequately deal with pedophile priests in San Francisco. Levada was known as a key architect of the church's practice of keeping abuse allegations secret, protecting abusive priests, and punishing church whistleblowers. Portions of this record came to light in stories by then San Francisco Weekly staff writer Ron Russell in 2005, and a May 5th story in the New York Times that recounted elements of Russell's reporting by sifting through documents made public as a result of lawsuits. Russell learned that during the 1990s and the 2000s, Levada helped keep allegations against priests, pedophile priests, shrouded in secrecy. Alleged abusers include Salesian brother Salvatore Bilanti, who police alleged, get this, who police allege had sexual relations with at least 24 children. But charges were dropped after the California Supreme Court overturned a state law extending the statute of limitations for the P guys. Starts with a P, all right? Get a little easy on it because I don't need nobody flagging nothing. And so the full contents of the Archdiocese clergy abuse files obtained by prosecutors were never revealed at trial. Relatively unscathed by his San Francisco legacy, now Cardinal Levada is the chief Vatican official charged with responding to global allegations of clergy abuse. Quote, given Levada's current role overseeing the P priests, and cover-up cases across the globe, said David Clohessy, National Director of the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, or SNAP. It is more important than ever that parents and citizens and Catholics learn exactly what he did in San Francisco. District Attorney Kamala Harris possesses San Francisco's Archdiocese files containing details of how the church dealt with the priests that go as far back as 80 years. But Harris, the front runner in the June primary elections to become the Democratic candidate for California Attorney General, has for 5 years rebuffed reporters' efforts to view those files, despite statements by the DA, Terrence Hillinen, saying they should be released. For the past 6 weeks, San Francisco Weekly has asked Harris's office to comply with the request under the California Public Records Act. It has released nothing. A prosecutor must be careful not to release records that might undermine an investigation, unfairly malign the innocent, or expose victims to publicity that they don't want. But in this case, Harris's office seems to be going beyond these important principles to a blanket policy of secrecy. It's worth recalling that Harris was recently lambasted by a judge for hiding the extent of an evidence handling scandal at the San Francisco Police Department crime lab, and for ignoring her constitutional obligation to turn over to the defense attorneys the criminal histories of police testifying at trial. Let me read that again. It's worth recalling that Harris was recently lambasted by a judge for hiding the extent of an evidence handling scandal at the San Francisco Police Department crime lab, and for ignoring her constitutional obligation to turn over to defense attorneys the criminal histories of police testifying at trial. Did Harris merely interpret the law, or does she have a penchant for secrecy? Now, the article goes on to say that on April 21st of that particular year, just as controversy was heating up over the Vatican's role in the global sex abuse scandal, Harris's deputy, Paul Henderson, responded to the request of one of the writers here by stating that Harris's investigative files were not subject to California government transparency laws. Her office essentially enjoys a blanket secrecy privilege. I sent Henderson's arguments to the California Newspaper Publishers Association legal counsel, Jim Ewart. Quote, "That's flatly untrue," he said. "The district attorney's office can release them if they want to, but they have decided not to," close quote. The author goes on to say, "I wrote to Harris's office citing Ewart's analysis. Harris spokeswoman Erica Derrick changed course by saying they would retrieve and review the files to determine whether there were any I could view." Following half a dozen phone conversations and many email exchanges, Derrick said that she would contact me on May 24th, but I didn't hear from her. When I emailed her again, almost 7 weeks after my initial request, she said that she was still working on it. I have heard nothing more. In lieu of releasing the records, Harris's office ended up releasing a statement. Quote, "District Attorney Harris focuses her efforts on putting child molesters in prison. We're not interested in selling out our victims to look good in the paper." When this case was brought under Terrence Hillinen, prosecutors took the utmost care to protect the identity and the dignity of the victims. That was the right thing to do then, and it's the right thing to do now, closed quote. But here's the problem with that narrator's note. That's not what this is. I've noticed she has a habit of inserting like a layered lie on top of something else. In other words, she'll say, "We want to protect the dignity of the victims." But she's not protecting the victims if she's not submitting the documentation that needs to be put out to the public to protect the victims. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say? Because it's like double speak from their sides. So I got to make sure that I put that out there. It says this sort of statement drives abuse victims crazy. Bingo. Bingo. We're trying to protect you by not putting out the information of the person who did something wrong to you. So we're trying to protect you. This is for you. Don't you understand that? We're trying to help you. We could run out here and tell everybody that these people that are being trusted with people's kids are bad dudes. We could do that, but we're trying to look out for you. Make that make sense. Huh. This sort of statement drives abuse victims crazy. Joelle Castix, the Western Regional Director of SNAP, was abused as a child by a lay teacher at a Catholic school. She had to sue to obtain records pertaining to the incident. She rejects Harris's rationale for keeping the Archdiocese abuse record secret. It's possible, even routine, these records, to release these records about the P priests while protecting the names of the victims. Most assuredly it is. We're not stupid. But this is the person that you got. This is the person that Black folks, white folks alike are telling others, I am voting for her. I just don't care. Then what is her platform? I'm going to keep asking that question. And if after you hear what we're reading tonight, you still hanging out with that person after hearing that this is the character, the very fabric, the very fiber of this individual, and you still kicking it with her, don't click no mo over here. Because that tells me there's something wrong. That if you could hear that she thought that it was okay to hide the identity, hide the information about what was going on to babies, to kids, to children. If you think that's okay, then I don't care where you go, but you can't hang out over here because it's not okay. This is not all right. If she's not giving me a platform right now for which somebody could stand on to say, okay, I get with her on that. I like this, and I like that. Then the only thing I got to do is pull your past and give you a platform that is the resemblance, that's in the mirror of you, your reflection from that mirror. That's what I'm giving her right now, because she ain't got one on her website that we just looked at together. And so if you don't have one, and this is the one that is public, there's a problem there. And anybody who can align themselves up with anyone who would think that it's okay to not tell the truth and expose all of the evil wickedness that was done to innocent people, something ain't right. There's a fly in the buttermilk, baby. A whole lot of flies in that buttermilk. A whole lot. Something ain't right. If you think that's cool, something ain't right. Move over. I need your seat. To repeat, that's one of the most dangerous statements I've ever heard, she said. The number one thing that gets predators off the streets is transparency about predators. You can do that by releasing the documents, and you can redact the victims' names at the same time. You're right. You can. But this was the Catholic Church. These were police officers. These were individuals that could do something for her in the future. Hey, let me see a 1 in the chat if you hear what I'm saying. And this is a serious situation. This is nothing to play about. We're bringing this information, but we're bringing it for real. Don't you know that's what this is about? The people who can do something for her are the people that she actually protected, because those babies and those children and those moms and those dads that were upset and really, really grieving about the fact that their children were taken advantage of, they can't do nothing for her. Can the Vatican do something for you financially if you were in her position? Think so. Yeah, I think so. Could the Popos do something for you if they grow up the ladder? Sure they could. Joey Piscatelli, SNAP's Northwest Regional Director, was more adamant in denouncing Harris's logic. Quote, let me put this big for the people who got a problem. Quote, they're full of bull feces. Do you see that? Do you see that right there? Do you see what the man said? That's what he says right there. You see it on the screen. Joey Piscatelli, SNAP's Northwest Regional Director, was more adamant in denouncing Harris's logic, saying, quote, they're full of bull feces. Okay? You can quote me on that, he said. They're not protecting the victims, they're protecting Levada. And then the dude gets a promotion. Hillinan, who forced the Archdiocese to turn over the records in 2002 and who pursued cases against priests before his office, was barred from proceeding by expired statutes of limitation. He sees no reason to keep the file secret. He says, obviously, those things should be made public, he said in an interview. You should make this public. Now, Rick Simmons, who has represented the victims in clergy abuse cases, said Harris is notorious. Get this, Mr. Simmons, who has represented victims in clergy abuse cases, said Harris is notorious for refusing to respond to public records requests. He added that her office has refused to release records even of investigations into priests who have already been tried, convicted, jailed, and released. Hey, Camel Toe, since you don't have a platform, thought I'd bring you one. Thought I'd bring up your past to help you. And until you bring a platform, this is going to be it. Since you like to be a sister, let me put it down here. This is going to be what you get until you bring what you need to bring to show us what you really believe in. There. I fixed it for you. Other district attorneys, such as Alameda County's Nancy O'Malley, have been far more forthcoming, particularly when it comes to exposing clergy who abuse children. Simmons said that Harris's penchant for secrecy shows a pattern and practice and policy of ignoring the rights of the children by one of the largest institutions of the city and the county of San Francisco and the Bay Area. Cam Kuwata, the campaign consultant to Los Angeles District Attorney Rocky Delgaudio. Now remember, Delgaudio, this is June 2nd, 2010 that we're reading, okay? Who faces Harris in the Democratic primary, said his boss also regards the matter differently. We see no reason why transparency and protecting the victim cannot work hand in hand, he said. This isn't the first time Harris has employed troubling logic to argue keeping the Archdiocese abuse files secret. In 2005, Russell also asked for the records. A Harris spokesman responded at the time saying, quote, if we did it for you, then we'd have to do it for everybody. Where do you stop? And where do you start? Ignorant. California law is clear where you start, with the presumption that the people's business is public. On March 27, Levada published an unusual 2,500-word essay on the Holy See's website denouncing the New York Times for publishing clergy abuse stories he claimed did not sufficiently highlight the church's purported zeal in rooting out, ain't this the pot calling the kettle black, in rooting out predatory priests. In 2002, I was appointed, says, at the time as Archbishop of San Francisco, to team our 4 bishops to seek approval of the Holy See for the essential norms that the American bishops develop to allow us to deal with abuse questions, Levada wrote, and he continues. We found the Cardinal Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict, and in the experts he assigned to meet with us a sympathetic understanding of the problems that we faced as American bishops, close quote. To people who have closely followed Levada's career, it seemed bizarre that he would mention his 2002 role in devising national Catholic clergy abuse policies. Bizarre. How bizarre. For help in this task, Levada enlisted his longtime ally, San Mateo cleric Father Gregory Ingalls. According to Russell's San Francisco Weekly Investigation, in 1996, Levada learned Ingalls had been accused of doing something with the S and ending with the G and having a Z in the center of it down here to a 15-year-old boy. Yet Levada helped Ingalls' career flourish and supported Ingalls' role as a top church policymaker, even after learning a second serious allegation of abuse. I apologize. These are people. These are people's children. These are people. 15-year-old boy. In Marin County, prosecutors assembled an S abuse case against Ingalls using information drawn from the archdiocese files. But Ingalls' case was thrown out because the statute of limitations had expired. Ultimately, the church agreed to settle one of the complaints by paying an alleged victim $2.7 million and in the process sealing records similar to the ones Harris controls. Nobody paid Harris to conceal the church's child abuse history. However, rather, she simply seems to view secrecy as the path of least resistance, whether or not it's consistent with the public interest. Got to take a break, you guys. Let me take a break and we'll be right back. We will be right back. All right. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. So there is this article here. California recognizes kids are victims, not criminals. Now, by itself and on its face, that may seem like an okay title, right? California recognizes that children are victims, not criminals. They're victims. So let's get into this. Let's get into it. The first thing that I want to do before I even get into it is I want to read this to you. It's SB 1322. SB 1322 is a California law that prevents law enforcement officials from arresting sex workers under the age of 18 for soliciting or engaging in prostitution. It recognizes that children who have been bought and sold for sex are victims of child sex trafficking and cannot be charged with or held liable for the crime of prostitution. Now, on its face, somebody would say, that looks like an okay thing. What's the problem with that? There is a lot that's the problem with that. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to stop in the middle, and I'm going to share with you one of the problems, okay? Let me clear out some of these tabs. We don't need them anymore because we've already read them. Okay. California recognizes the kids are victims, not criminals, a new law in line with national movement to protect juvenile sex trafficking victims. SB 1322 went into effect on January. Now, this is from the year, I believe it was 2017, if I'm not mistaken, but it was 2017. Okay. So it goes on to say January 1st, it was 2017. This bill, and if it's not, please count it to my head and not my heart. This bill not only sparked fiery discussion centered on one op-ed, it also led Assemblyman Travis Allen to introduce AB 1402 for the purposes of repealing SB 1322, contrary to sensational statements that SB 1322 legalized child prostitution. The 2016 bill clarified that children engaged in commercial S work and are victims of S trafficking, deserving a protective, not punitive response. SB 1322 follows in the steps of legislation passed by 19 other states in the United States and recognizes that children who have been purchased or sold for S are victims of S trafficking. As victims of this crime, they cannot be charged with or held liable for the crime of the P word. This bill is not only a vital step to fighting juvenile S trafficking in the United States, it is in line with the national movement to ensure state laws treat child S trafficking survivors as victims instead of criminals. All right, let's break this down. So if you say that the child is not a criminal, they're also saying that the child does not have to do anything that's going to harm themselves in that bill. Meaning, if telling us who the person that put you out here is going to put you in harm's way, well, then we'll go on ahead and take you and we'll put you over here and you, but that's only very limited amount of people that they're putting away, helping. Okay, they're not arresting anybody. Here's what it is. Bottom line, I'm not going to tiptoe around this. I'm going to tell you straight up what this is. What this is a way for them to allow the perpetrator who has the person out there, the child out there, from being told on. That's it. Bottom line. That's it. Bottom line. Bottom line is it protects the person who has the child out there. Because if you say in one side of your neck that if you tell, we know you're going to get hurt. So you don't have to tell us. And since you're not going to go to jail, you can stay here and cool off a little bit. And then you go on out there again. You're going out there again. And there's an article that talks about that. Let me see if I can find it. There is an article that literally talks about that the child is scared, but that they feel like there's no reason to protect them because by protecting them, you could be harming them. And that's the kind of bass-ackwards stuff that's continued to go on. But see, all of these things were set up prior to now, obviously, because they were laying a groundwork while we were arguing about other stuff, right? They were laying the groundwork for the very day that we're living in right now. For the very time that we're living in, they were working like little bees and like little ants. And they were actually fixing this so that way they could have this for such a time as this. There are 85,000 missing children that the Biden administration is missing. They're missing these kids, right? They're missing them. They don't know where they are. They came through the border and they don't know where they are. Anyway, I'm going to get through this because there's too many trigger phrases here. But it goes on to say that the passage of SB 1322 in September of 2016 was significant and imperative step in reconciling a glare contradiction in California state law, which allowed a child engaged in commercial S work to be both a victim and a commercial S exploitation of commercial S exploitation. And an offender under the same prostitution statute, removing criminal liability for an offense that a child cannot commit. Basically, they cannot commit this. Somebody has to put them up to it, right? Yeah. Prioritizes the safety, welfare, development, and protection of all children. How? For that reason, it is critically important that in the fight that against child S trafficking, to recognize that removing criminal liability for minors engaged in the commercial S does not incentivize adults. Yes, it does. The double damn speak. Here we go with that damn double speak again. It doesn't incentivize. It does. The same way that it incentivized Pookie them on the corner many, many years ago for putting out the 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds running around with the baggies, because they knew that if you put them out there, that they're not going to stay in jail long. This is the same thing. Do you not see it? This is the same exact thing. And the people that really do benefit from it are the people who are actually pushing it with the drug cartels and, working out with those kind of people. And then the Sinaloa and all of these different people. These are the people who make money from this. These are the people who are actually making it from this. But for whatever reason, they want us to believe that this does not incentivize adults who commercially exploit children. Instead, making sure that the buyers and the sellers of S with children are the only possible offenders under prostitution law de-incentivizes. Laws de-incentivizes such behavior by removing the facade of consent, willingness, or desire of the child that offenders rely on to avoid culpability. Boy, I tell you, the witchcraft is real. The witchcraft. The United States, the language here is one of the youngest languages, and it's been a bastardized form of language because it picks and pulls pieces off of a whole lot of different stuff. The unfortunate piece is that the pieces that it picks and pulls all creates witchcraft. That's ironic. That's ironic, because that's exactly what this is. That's exactly some of the incantations that she's been doing. That, from the behind, from the past, for unburdened by what, all of that stuff ain't nothing but witchcraft. Every bit of it is nothing but witchcraft. And that's the reason why the people that you try to have a normal conversation with about the whole election deal looks like this. No, I'm going to vote for her. I'm voting blue, no matter for who. I don't care. I'm taking her name and I'm voting for it. I don't care what she did. Anything is better than Trump. They all repeat the same thing because there are incantations and there are spells that have been released on this nation and have been released on this nation forever and a day. And they ratcheted it up. They ratcheted it up, especially going around the 2020 election. All you heard was, we're going for the soul, 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 we want the soul, we want the soul. When you look at some of the ancient religious beliefs, or the ancient belief systems, not even religious, but the ancient belief systems that are talking about the soul hangs out. That there are traps, soul traps. Some of those belief systems believe that. But yet these people are telling you that they are fighting for the soul of America all through 2020. They said that all around it. We're fighting for the soul of America. Do you know what that means? Do you know what it means, what she's saying? Somebody better wake up today. Somebody better wake up. You bet not run down there and vote for somebody and you don't know what their platform is. I'm sitting up here giving you a platform based on the things that they have done and said and have stood for in the past. This lady stands up and says that she's for the downtrodden and the people and the children and the people of the color and the da-da-da-da-da-da. But everything she's ever put her hand to, every plow she's ever touched and never looked back from, baby, is anti-people. You know why? And you know why everybody thinks she's a dum-dum? You know why everybody thinks she's a bozo? You know why? Because she's laughing hard to prevent herself from showing who she really is. So what she's saying is, ha 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 ha, you guys really think that I'm for you, don't you? You really don't know what my past is. You really don't know who my people are. You really don't know that I'm true to who I really am. You really don't know that I'm lying to you and you are going for it. I don't have a platform. As a matter of fact, I just have a start date. She ain't got no platform. She has a start date. So once you guys go on ahead and vote her in and everybody goes and vote her in and all the black women that are sitting up there talking about ski-wee, she's our sister, all these people run around and vote her in, the problem going to be one major thing, baby. I'm going to tell you, she going to stop all that laughing. And when she stops all that laughing and she gets down to the brass tacks or what her agenda really is, you are not going to believe it. You're going to remember every guillotine that your tax dollars paid for from way back when. You're going to remember every little bitty, small, tiny house that has a nice little pipe going up with a unique valve on each building. You're going to remember everything that they did. You're going to remember the fact that the Civil Rights Voting Act was never ratified. You're going to remember that. You're going to remember all of that. And you're going to remember one phrase that Mr. Biden said to you. They're going to put y'all back in chains. You don't see, especially the Black folk. I got to talk to them. I got to. You do not see that every single thing that they are laying down right now reeks of Jim Crow. California had the most Jim Crow laws on the books in the United States. Look that up. Don't believe me. Just look it up. They had the most Jim Crow laws on the books than even parts of the South. This lady is going to show you who she is. See, people don't believe that there's a couple of other parties out there. They don't believe that they're communists here in the United States. They're all in the Midwest. They got organizations. You can look the organizations up. You can look them up and you'll see it. When I said the other week that her father went to I believe it was the University of London, and then, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but George Soros went to University of London and a whole long list of other people. There's a lot to be said about an alumni organization or a group of people who went to a school. There's a lot to be said about that. It tells you a lot about the history. It tells you a lot about the people. Yeah. And the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Not when it comes to what mama and them did and daddy and them did. Yeah, that part. All right. So now they've decriminalized it by giving you some witchcraft words and making you feel like it's okay. Yeah. So down below in the description, all of this stuff is in there. So we're going to go on to another one because I just can't take that anymore. Here we go. I want you to see this though, because there has been a lot of stink about one thing in particular. Let me give this to you. There's been a lot of stink about the Biden administration, now that we're getting closer to today, right? We're getting closer to right now. So the Biden administration has lost 85,000 children that came from the border. Now, there was a big conversation that was being held about how and why the children were being separated from their alleged family or parents when they came across the border, and everybody was upset about it, and people were so angry, and they were looking like, why are you taking these kids away from their mama and daddy? Because they more than likely was not the mama and daddy. And I said it just like that on purpose. They was not the daddy. They was not the mama. More than likely, they were not. More than likely, they weren't. Here we go. Let's look at why. Let's see why. I'm going to make this larger so that y'all can get it. Right here. The agency has lost track of at least 85,000 children as of February 2023. I'm sure the number's grown. It says the New York Times reported roughly a third of the total number of migrant minors in the country. As of fiscal year 2023, 70% of that cohort were aged 15 or older, and most were boys. HHS that year conducted an audit and found it had appropriately followed procedures for sponsor vetting, but transcribed interviews and communications with the judiciary panel revealed that it had not taken into an account the migrant accused of imming an autistic Maryland 21-year-old Kayla Hamilton. Okay. I wanted to highlight that. I really did. I wanted to highlight that. Let me see if we can get that report. Nah, because it's behind a paywall. So it's okay. I'm not paying for nothing. Okay. All right. So that's what you see there. Okay. 85,000 children. More than 8 million migrants, although, have entered into the United States along the southern border since Biden took office in January of 2021, according to the Customs, Border and Protection. More than 400,000 have been released into the interior of the United States to live with vetted sponsors. These kids are gone. There is a very sharp congresswoman or senator, whatever she is. Where is she? Luna. Her name is Luna. And I saw her going off on, originally, I saw her going off on Instagram. And she was going off on Kamala. So let me see if I can find that. Luna. See if we can find it. There she is. Kamala confronted by Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna. I like her. Yeah, I like her. I think she's good people. Frankly, I wish that, let me look up and see if I can find it on TikTok. Let me go on TikTok. I like her. Frankly, I think, to me, what would have made good sense is if President Trump, if he really wanted to win, he would have chosen this gal because she is really bold. Okay, let me show it to you guys. All righty. Let's go ahead and put this over here. Hope you guys are having a good night, and I thank y'all for hanging out with us. We're almost done. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it up. I don't have TikTok on this side. New feature floating something. All right, here you go. And there's no music here either. Let me make it smaller because I don't think it's going to fit. It's 175. I'll put it down to maybe 125. All right, let's go back. It's 57 seconds. I like this chick.
I want to know about the children that you're saying that are at the border right now. Wait, would you answer this question real quick? No, I'm taking a picture real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're getting behind and you're saying that you're fighting for it. No, I'm not going to back. Hi, I'm the director of Hispanic Engagement with Turning Point USA. I want to know about the children that you're saying that are at the border right now. Wait, would you answer this question real quick? No, I'm taking a picture real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're getting behind and you're saying that you're fighting for it. No, I'm not going to back off. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm asking her. She's saying that she supports.
Those ladies asked her to take
I don't care. You're in my way. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. She is damaging what is happening to Hispanic women and children at the border because she's promoting family reunification, which you're not commenting on this issue. You are directly impacting the Hispanic demographic in a negative way. You are directly impacting what is happening with the children in this country, and you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a representative, representing women in this country. Shame on you. You're not going to win.
Damn, man, that woman belongs in Congress. Oh, wait, that's actually Anna Paulina Luna. She is in Congress because we live in the best timeline.
Okay, so you see her. I like her. I think that she's really good. And I think that, if he wanted to win, he would have, really win, he would have chosen her. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I think this is a longer one. Yeah, it is. I think it is. Anyway, I like the fact that she had her game plan together. She knew her numbers. She knew everything. She was not sitting here guessing. She wasn't trying to figure it out. She wasn't trying to hope for the best. No. Homegirl hit her where she lives. She said, you are impacting our people. You're impacting them. You're harming us. You're harming Hispanic women, Hispanic children. She stood up for her people. And I like that. I like anybody that stands up for their people. I don't care. I'm not one of these people that, oh, you shouldn't be. It's supposed to be all people. That's a guilt trip that somebody told you. Because you know, doggone good and well, you do care about all people, but you definitely want to make sure that your neighborhood and your community is okay. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Don't let nobody put you in a trick bag. Don't do that, you guys. Stop that. If people make you feel bad because you want to, see good for your own family, ain't nothing wrong with that. If you want to see good for your people, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with it at all. Let me see if we can find some more stuff. But this girl, I like this lady, this Paulina lady. I really do. I like her. I think she's a smart cookie. I really do. I think that she's a very smart cookie. I think that she is right on target. I think she's over the target. And I really believe that had Trump chosen her, it would have been a shoo-in, because those two Yoakum weirdos, those are the weirdos, and they had to start using weirdo about Trump because they knew we was going to say this is a weird bunch here. This is I mean, this monkey junk they dragging out here every time you turn it around. Every time you turn around, they dragging out some new monkey junk. Every time. And we all got to sit back quietly and be complicit and pretend like we didn't just see what happened. Well, we all, did you see what happened? I can't say nothing because they're going to get me. They're going to get me if I say something. Come get me. What you going to do? I ain't got nothing now. What you going to take? Ain't got nothing. Hello. I said it. I'm just so tired of people being so fearful, walking around in fear all the freaking time, scared of what somebody's going to say, scared of people are going to accept them, scared of what they say is going to sound right. Just afraid to walk over here, afraid to walk over there, afraid to speak up for guns, afraid to speak up for their own kind, afraid to speak up for America, afraid to say that they like the flag, afraid to say every doggone thing, afraid to say that they believe in school choice, afraid to say that they do not believe in a multiplicity of XYZs, of poodle people and furry people and He-Man free people. He-Man, you got He-Man, you got He-Man, you got She-Man, you got all of this stuff. You got everybody and it's the fear that everybody has had that's preventing you from being free. The freedom is up under you, taking that veil of fear away. I guarantee you that the wimps that want you to just shut up ain't gonna be able to take it. They're wimps. They can't take it. If you get in their face and say, you're going to get away from me, that's what you're going to do. You're going to get away from me, and I'm not about to sit here and believe everything that you're trying to tell me. I'm not going to do it. I don't agree. And if you get bold enough and tell them that you don't agree with it, ain't nothing going to happen to you. You'll see that they'll turn around and leave you the heck alone. What I decided this week here, was that I was going to be no more complicit with people who try to blow smoke up my butt. With the individuals who rock narcissism and gaslighting, I'm going to give it to you right where you live. See, a lot of times you don't want to do that because you don't want to be, I just don't want to be disagreeable, or just let them go. They'll be okay. No, sir, no, ma'am. Because this is the way we got to where we are right now in this country, by all of us just saying, well, it's not me. As long as it's not happening in my house, I'm okay. As long as this and this and this and that. Listen, I'm going to tell you guys something. We were just faced recently with something with a 5 o'clock shadow dressed in a little evening dress that wears the same dress every single day. 5 o'clock shadow stands over 6 foot in one of our family members' classrooms. People can say things from afar, but when they get to your front porch, how you gonna act? Tell you how I acted. You got until sundown to change that schedule. Left it at that. Because if you don't, I'm calling the governor. That's right. Stand up for yourself. These individuals are able to do what they're doing specifically because a long time ago we said, as long as it's not in my house and as long as you're not infringing upon my rights, then I don't care. Do what you want to do. Right? Now, in a few countries, they're not allowing you to put up the beautiful multicolored flag that the Father gave as a promise to mankind that he would not get them by water, but fire next time. And even though that may not be how you rock, that's what this country is represented in the countries that allow it on the embassies. They got the United States flag and they got that. And that should tell you something, especially those individuals who are standing up there saying, I'm going to vote for her because she black. You stop that, you dingbat. Stop it, Dodo. She's not you. Let's break it down before we get out of here. We got 3 minutes. Go, Felicia, go. Go, Felicia, go. Go, Felicia, go. Break it down, break it down, break it down, break it down. We're going to break it all the way down. I'm going to break it down for you. Mama, daddy came here on education visas. Mama, daddy were not black. Mama birth certificate says Caucasian. On Kamala's birth certificate, mama's ethnicity and the baby's ethnicity is Caucasian. The mama identifies as Caucasian. She identified as Caucasian. She did not go to school with us. She was never bused with us, ever. Matter of fact, they didn't even bus us. We had to walk. They didn't even bus us. Most of us had to walk. She was not out here. Homegirl was nowhere near California. The only sea she was near, not crip walking, okay? She wasn't crip walking. No, sir. No, at the train station. Nix 9 at the Bahnhof. Homegirl was in Seatown, Canada. Not Compton. Okay? And everybody wants to be like, oh my God, well, then at least she went to Howard. That's a black HBCU. That's a black college. Is it? Who started the HBCUs? The same Dodo I was talking to earlier, whoever that is. Dodo was the name I used eloquently, right? Yeah. So Dodo, who started all the HBCUs? Was it Quakers? Was it Pilgrims? Could it have been? What was the purpose? Was it black folk that started the schools? No, it wasn't. So think it not strange that she allegedly went to that school. Don't think it's strange that she graduated from there. Don't think it's strange that she had to get indoctrinated, that she had to go ahead on and practice everything that she practiced. Some people came here with a goal. Her mama, her daddy, both of them came here with a goal. See, that's the problem with most of us. We don't believe that somebody 60 years ago could have had a goal, that her mom and them had a goal. They had a goal because they were sent. They were sent. Get it through here. Get it. Quit running around with that. I'm voting for her because she's a black woman. Really? What is black? It is the absence of, Dodo. It's the absence of color, absence of any absence of standing. There is no standing. There is no standing. There is no standing. It is absent. It doesn't exist. When you got debt, you in the red. When the debt is gone, you in the what? When you got debt, you in the red. But when the debt is gone, you in the what, baby? Come on, tell me. Bet you won't do it. You in the black, because ain't nothing there. So you keep aligning yourself with black because you don't know who you are. And that's the reason why it makes it so easy for somebody else to come in from the outside and tell you who they are and align themselves with you, because you honestly don't know who you are. And since you don't know who they are and this person resembles you, you take the facsimile, you latch onto the facsimile, and now the facsimile is now you. But because you've never had a real identity and you've never ever sought out who you really, truly, and honestly were because somebody else told you who you was, you think that this person is you until The person that you let in your house is not sleeping with your wife or sleeping with your husband. The person that you let in your job that you were supposed to be training and teaching have now moved you out the way and they got your job. Why? Because you thought y'all was the same, but you wasn't. The person that you went out there and voted for only did something for the LGBTQ community. He didn't do nothing for us. We all thought that he was going to do something for us, but he didn't do nothing for us. He did everything for them. I said it, and I'm saying it in a humorous way because hopefully you'll get it. The lady is not you, and even if her father were black, this man is a red Jamaican who is not from where you are. His father people, his daddy folks is Irish. They had slaves. They had slaves. Don't you understand that every bit of CRT, don't you understand that everything that they're shoving to you is reversing everything that was done in the 60s? Don't you get it? Don't you see it? This woman is actually hailing reproductive health as her only platform thus far. That and the twerking sensation of one Meg Thee Stallion. That's all she's got. That is it. Her platform is nothing more than something that Margaret Sanger pushed. She pushed for your non-existence. All you folks out there that's saying this woman is a black woman. The best thing I ever heard Trump say last week. Oh, Lord, that man said, well, I mean, she started out, she was an Indian. She was an Indian, and then she went from being an Indian, and then she turned the corner somewhere, and then she became black. She became a black person. I'm sorry. You already know that I'm not necessarily a big fan of either one. But baby, I love that Gemini. Because when that man said, all of a sudden, she became black. She's a black person. She became a black person. He hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head. I want you guys to make sure that you hit that like button for me. And if you don't have the ability to hit the like button, but you can share it and share it. And if you don't have the ability to hit the share button, but you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And then make sure that you go on down there where that little bitty $sign is and hit that little button and watch the room clear out. But that's all good. Sponsor the show. It only costs $20 to be the sponsor of the show. Go on down there and hit it. It's a little $sign right down yon. All you got to do is hit it. And it's a super chat. And you can make a comment. Or it's a super sticker. And you can send some little funny looking little thing. But either way it goes, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. Yeah. Because it's high time for us to stop. It's high time for us to knock it off. It is, because we're not knocking it off. And we should be knocking it off. Yes, they are delayed. Kim, yes, all comments are delayed. Comments are delayed. I think they delay the comments a few seconds, maybe 5 seconds or something like that. I don't know how it is on some of them. Okay. But my point is that it's really honestly time to stop it. Okay. I'm not black. I'm not black. I am Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, and much to my chagrin, Irish. And I say that because of how that whole Irish piece came to be and what the Irish gentleman gleaned from having been attached to our people in our community in Mississippi. Yeah, I'm from one of the 13, baby. I'm from one of the 13. Used to be Georgia. Ended up being Mississippi. But if you don't know who you are, somebody can easily come and tell you that they are you. Don't forget that we just got through talking about, as we close right now, do not forget that we just got through talking about Rachel Dolezal. And the reason why I said that Rachel Dolezal was a type and that she was a shadow of what was about to come, I didn't use those terms, but that's exactly what she was. She was trying to be a litmus test. She was a litmus test to see exactly how much you would go for. This lady literally had a position working in the NAACP, and Black folk just ate her up. And then after they found out that they had been lied to, after they found out that somebody had given them untruth, they embraced her anyway. See, I'm going to tell you something about KNEEGROWS. Your knee grows. They double down. They will double down and love. We do. We do it all the time. We will end up doubling down and protecting the person that tried to harm us because that's who we've been all along. That's how we've always been that way. You know, when I look at the Indians as they were standing there and they were giving out the turkeys and all that other stuff, do you know that that's how they used to share? Whenever strangers would come around, they would be loving and give and give and give. I'm going to tell you something. The individuals who know what's really going on around here, who hold the history and who hold the truth, those people know our character. And that's the reason why they use the same thing over and over again. There's nothing wrong with loving people. There's nothing wrong with trusting folks. And there's nothing wrong with giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. It's not anything wrong with that. But when a person has lied to you and a person has tried to placate to you, when they've tried to act like, let me just shuffle and tap dance a little bit and put Meg the Stallion on the stage and that ought to get them, and you know good and well that that's not who you are, don't allow somebody to play in your face like that. So Kamala's past, as of this point, is her platform. And I'm not done. Like so many of us in this sector who have said, we're going to keep hitting and we're going to keep hitting and we're going to keep hitting until y'all get it together. I'm going to keep hitting. I got a whole lot more candy for you. I got a whole lot more candy for you. Because, see, I didn't bring up the topic of her being a Black person. I didn't do that. She said that. And since she said that, I should have a right to question it. Not only should I have a right to question it, I should also have a right to put the mirror out there. Thank you, Kim Roberts, for sponsoring the show tonight. We appreciate you, baby. Let me give you some music. I don't know what kind of music we get. We're going to have to make some music. We're going to have to make some music. But what I do want you guys to do is listen to this right here, because Judge Joe Brown is joining us on this coming Monday at 12 o'clock Central Time to talk about none other than Kamala, baby. We're going to bring this in. Oh, we're going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting until I knock it down, just like them walls. Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Walls come down like Jericho. What's that little girl say? Oh, yeah. Okay. There's a chick named Iniko or something like that. And she says, I'm high, I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. But what she says is Jericho walls. The walls come down like Jericho. And that's exactly what I'm going to keep on hitting with a boldness, with separated boldness. I'm going to get it every single time. Oh, I'm coming with the boom, because this right here cannot continue. If the homegirl don't have, let me say it like this. If she come up with a platform, maybe I'll stop. Or maybe I'll be like her and lie. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do, because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. You know, Joe and I are both from California at the same time. I'm a Southern person, but, I was raised out West, and so was he, right? I mean, he was there when I was there. He was there when she was there. She was there when I was there. We was all there at the same time, which is the main reason why I am holding up that banner. I'm holding up that banner, and I'm going in because I know the truth. I know the truth, and I don't want anybody to walk into something without knowing the whole truth. So until she gives us a platform, I'm going to keep bringing you some stuff. With that said, Judge Joe Brown will be with us on Monday, and he will be live. And I have questions for him that you probably had no idea about, that he has the answers to. Won't you join us this coming Monday right here on Headlines with a Voice and the Lockhart Perspective as we welcome our guest, Judge Joe Brown. And as you have seen, and you probably have or have not seen some of the clips just recently where he has been laying it down, telling the whole truth. Let me see if I can give you an excerpt of what you may be expecting this coming week. Let's find the ticker talk. Let's find, because TikTok got some stuff for you where she's concerned. And then we're going to head on out of here. Okay. I appreciate all of y'all for hanging out with us. You guys are the best. You're so awesome. You guys are cool. And I like y'all for letting me be me. Let me go on this other side because it's asking me to log in and I'm not about to. Did you guys know that I am on TikTok? I'm also on Rumble. I'm also on Odyssey. Please go over there. If you guys are privy to any of those channels that I just mentioned, TikTok, Rumble, IG, I post, but I really post where I'm mostly seen. Okay, so let me get his name here, Judge Joe Brown. On Kamala Harris. Oh, I don't want to hear that. The one he got, that's really, oh boy, he's amazing on one of them. He's amazing on all of them. Okay, here we go. Nope, don't want to hear that one because he goes in. Okay, this one you all can hear. Let me share this with you. All right. Okay, and then we out of here. We out of here at that point, you guys, because I got to go to bed. All right. All right. Okay. Now let me give it to you. There you go. And let me start it again.
50 years in American justice, just a little more than 2.5% of the people that are in the penitentiaries got found guilty by a jury. 97+% pled guilty, and 84 to 87%, depending upon the circumstances, confessed. Now, there are a few that shouldn't be in there because they are actually innocent and somebody did put a case on them. Kamala Harris has a disproportionate number of people that have passed through her hands where she was in charge of the prosecution, where that actually happened. So I find it odd that you have not just the occasional thing, not that your statistical rarity, but you got you have a situation where there are a whole bunch of these instances. We had a woman that was the district attorney here in Memphis, where the state Supreme Court, Harvard Law Review, Yale Law Review, Stanford Law Review declared her to be the most corrupt attorney general in the United States of America because she personally had more complaints and findings of prosecutorial misconduct against her as an individual than any of the DA's offices in the rest of the country had collectively over the same period of time. You know, so I mean, you've got a situation where when it's a rarity, but you've got a lot of them dumped in your lap, something's wrong with you and there is a problem. And I am aware of some very bad miscarriages of justice.
I like the fact that I was only able to pull up this one. I don't want to go in because when I tell you he's got some on here that are pretty spicy. They're spicy. But here I want to find where Trump is saying what he says. Hold on, let me find that. Somewhere she took a turn. I don't want to use my account. I just want.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman.
I respect either one. I respect either one, but she.
Then you hear homegirl caping for her. She's always been known as a black woman with a historically black college, and that's what she did. And she was so entirely rude to Trump. I would never, ever, ever, even though I don't agree with every single thing he does and says, and even though I had my issues or problems with some of his standpoints, I would never interview this man and be so blatantly disrespectful. That lady does not even need to work in media anymore. She actually went in there with a chip on her shoulder with this man and was going off on him. She's always been a black woman. She's always, and then you look like a fool when you sit here and see her taking the right hand to become a senator, saying who she is. You look like a fool when you see her standing next to another Indian gentleman and talking about their culture. You look like a fool when she's there with that Mindy chick that's on that television show I used to love. And they're both talking about they're from the same set of people. Okay, they are caste people. You look like a plumb idiot because she ain't caping for you. This chick ain't put on their cape to purse for your rump. Not one, not one. But you, yes, she is, yes, she is, yes, she is. And you arguing with this cat. Look here, I don't care what nobody says about anything. You better know what room to cut up in. Because even though these people have done all the stuff that they've done to Trump, baby, that's still Donald Trump. And I'm going to tell you something, the very same people that was trying to mess over him be the very same people that they invite to birthday parties.
She obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way. And then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that
I think somebody should look into that too. I've known her a long time indirectly.
Oh my goodness, you guys, we got to get out of here. I absolutely think this guy is hilarious. I do not care what anybody says. That man is funny. Okay, he's hilarious. He is. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Please remember to hit the like button, share it if you can. And remember that if this is your very first time, you can always subscribe. And if it's not your first time and you've already subscribed, then consider becoming a member because I would love to have you. All right. You guys take care of yourselves. And remember that if you don't take care of you, ain't nobody else going to do it. I can promise that. I've checked. And again, thank you to the sponsor of our show tonight, Kim Roberts. Thank you so very much for sponsoring the show. You rock, my sister. You rock. All right, you guys, remember what we always say here on this channel, whether it be this channel or whether it be the Lockhart Perspective, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys take care of yourselves, and then you can turn around and take care of everybody else. And until I see you again, please remember to take care of my friend. And don't forget to come and see my friend, Judge Joe Brown, on this coming Monday, and I'm gonna just let him loose. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna let him have his way. Just do his thing. Just do his thing. But until then, y'all go over there on Amazon and get some of this delicious barbecue sauce. Love you guys. Hey everyone, it's me, Felicia, of the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice. I want to tell you a little secret. This is what I used to do because I don't do it anymore. I would go to the store, buy the barbecue sauce, pour it inside of a bowl, put a whole bunch of different spices, a dash of brown sugar, a dash of maple, and a dash of mustard, stir it all around, and everybody would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best, this is the best. But I was exhausted after all of that, and a lot of times I couldn't remember how many dashes of what I put in it. But I don't have to do that anymore because now I just go to Judge Joe Brown's website and I order his 3-pack of bottled barbecue sauce. It is by far the best, and I do mean the best barbecue sauce I've ever eaten. And when you go to his website and you order his 3-pack, you'll see exactly what I mean. Head on over to jjbbbbq.com and order Judge Joe Brown's barbecue sauce. You'll be glad you did, and you're going to tell me about it. I know you will. I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe.